The Varelian flagship drifted in silent orbit above the blue-white curve of the negotiation world, its living hull glowing softly like starlight caught in crystal. Inside, the corridors pulsed with gentle light that shifted with the ship's mood, calm and cool as diplomats from a dozen species moved through its vast chambers. Among them walked a single human. Elias Ward kept his pace even, his shoulders straight, his expression neutral in the careful way humans learned when surrounded by beings who could read emotion through scent, color, or electromagnetic signals. He wore the standard diplomatic uniform issued to the Terran delegation, dark fabric, high collar, silver thread at the cuffs. His gloves were part of the uniform, or so most assumed. No one commented that he never took them off. He carried a slim data slate against his side as he moved toward the central strategy chamber. The doors ahead unfurled like petals at his approach, sensing his clearance tag. Inside, the air shimmered faintly with bioluminescent patterns that marked the presence of the Varelian court. At the center of the chamber stood Queen Seralith. She was taller than any being in the room, her form elegant and layered with translucent fins that floated behind her like veils in slow water. Soft light moved under her skin in slow waves, shifting colors with her thoughts. To most species, she was a figure of distant beauty and colder authority. To Elias, she was also his direct supervisor. "Representative Ward," she said, her voice a low harmonic sound that vibrated gently in the air rather than pushing through it. Elias bowed his head slightly. "Your Majesty." Several other aides stood around the circular projection table, where star systems hovered as points of light. Trade routes arced between them in glowing lines. The talks with the Coalition of Outer Systems had reached a delicate stage, and every detail mattered. Elias stepped forward and activated his slate, projecting a new set of translated clauses. "The Terran delegation proposes a shared oversight council for the corridor routes. It addresses the Coalition's security concerns without compromising Varelian sovereignty." Seralith's inner glow shifted to a thoughtful blue. "And the Human Senate will accept limited Varelian patrol presence?" "Yes, Your Majesty. With joint command structure." The discussion continued, flowing between species with very different ways of thinking. Some spoke in bursts of scent that translators converted to text, others communicated through patterns of light. Elias listened, interpreted, clarified. His voice stayed steady, his posture straight. Only once did he shift his weight, just slightly, when no one was looking directly at him. Hours passed. One by one, the other aides were dismissed to rest cycles or data analysis tasks. Eventually, only Elias and the Queen remained in the chamber. The star map dimmed to a low glow. Seralith studied a rotating projection of a border system. "The Coalition fears we will expand through this corridor once defenses are shared," she said. Elias nodded. "They do, but they also fear the pirate enclaves more. If we frame this as stabilization, not expansion, they'll agree. You speak with certainty for one so young." He gave a small, tired smile. "Humans argue a lot. I've had practice." A faint ripple of warmer color moved through her glow, Varelian amusement. Then it paused, her gaze lowered slightly. "Your balance is uneven," she said. Elias didn't look down. "Long shift, Your Majesty. You have endured longer ones without compensating posture." He hesitated just a fraction of a second. "I'm fine." Seralith stepped closer. The air hummed softly around her. Up close, the light beneath her skin was brighter, more detailed, like constellations moving under glass. "There is a discoloration on your left sleeve," she said. Elias glanced at his arm as if noticing it for the first time. The dark fabric near his wrist was slightly darker still. "Probably ink from the slate," he said easily. "These things leak sometimes. Your device does not use liquid pigment." He exhaled slowly through his nose. "Then I must have brushed against something in the hangar earlier." Seralith did not respond right away. Instead, she reached out, not touching, but activating a low-level medical scan built into the chamber. A soft, lattice of light passed over him before he could step back. "Your Majesty," he began. The scan finished with a quiet chime. Seralith went very still. Her internal light shifted from calm blue to a sharp, focused white. "You are damaged," she said. Elias held her gaze.
"It's nothing serious. You have 3 untreated fractures in your lower ribs," she continued, her voice still even, but deeper now. "Extensive soft tissue trauma along your right side."
"A laceration at your wrist that has reopened multiple times." He flexed his gloved hand slightly. "I cleaned it. You did not report this to medical. There wasn't time. For healing, for the talks," he said. "We were in the middle of the corridor draft. If I'd stepped out, we might have lost momentum." Seralith's glow darkened at the edges. "When did this damage occur?" 4 cycles ago. Shuttle transfer from the surface station." She searched her memory. "There was a systems failure during docking." "Yeah," he said quietly. "That." The Queen turned slightly, accessing the ship's records through a silent neural link. "Reports indicate minor turbulence."
"No casualties." "Correct," Elias said.
Her light flickered. "Explain." He shifted again, more carefully this time.
"A pressure seal failed in the rear compartment. 2 junior Varelian techs were back there securing cargo."
"They don't move fast in emergencies. That is a biological limitation," she said automatically.
"I know," he replied. "So I went back to help. The chamber was very quiet."
"The decompression was partial," he continued. "I got them into suits and sealed the compartment before it got worse. Just got knocked around a bit when the shuttle jerked."
You were alone? Crew was busy stabilizing the flight path, and you did not consider your own structural limits?" He gave a small shrug that he immediately regretted.
Pain flickered across his face before he smoothed it away. They would have died. Seralith's glow pulsed once, bright and sharp. "So you accepted injury?" "It wasn't a choice that needed thinking about," he said simply. She looked at him for a long moment. To Varelians, pain was a warning that demanded immediate retreat and regeneration. "Their bodies were built to heal quickly if given rest, but further damage during recovery could be permanent." Their entire culture was shaped around careful preservation of the self. This human had continued working through broken bones because a meeting schedule was important. "You are now relieved of duty," she said. Elias blinked. "Your Majesty, we're at a critical point. You are relieved," she repeated more firmly. "You will go to medical. I can finish the clause revisions first." "No."
He hesitated, then tried again. "At least let me brief Senior Aide Tailvar before I go."
"He doesn't know the Coalition delegate's negotiation style yet. I will brief him." Elias stared at her. "You don't have time for that." Her glow sharpened. "I decide how my time is spent." Silence stretched between them. Finally, he inclined his head. "Yes, Your Majesty." He turned to leave, moving carefully now that he no longer had to pretend. At the doorway, he paused. "I'm sorry for causing inconvenience." Seralith did not understand the tight feeling that passed through her chest cavity then.
"You have caused none," she said.
He gave a small nod and walked out into the glowing corridor. The doors closed behind him. For several long moments, Queen Seralith remained alone in the chamber, the star map slowly rotating before her. Then her internal light shifted again, deeper, more complex colors moving in tight, restless patterns. She reopened the shuttle incident file. External logs showed a routine malfunction. Internal sensor data, however, told a different story. The pressure seal failure had not been random. A microfracture pattern along the seal ring suggested deliberate weakening over time. Sabotage. Her glow darkened toward a color rarely seen in the Varelian court. She pulled up internal footage from the shuttle. The recording showed Elias moving down the narrow corridor as warning lights flashed. The rear compartment door buckled inward. Atmosphere vented in a violent rush of fog and debris, the image distorted as pressure dropped, but she could still see him brace himself in the doorway, pushing two slower-moving Varelians toward emergency suits. One of them stumbled. Elias shoved them both into the compartment and sealed it from the inside before the inner door blew open and threw him hard against the wall. The footage cut there. Seralus stared at the frozen frame of the human lying still in the flickering red light, already injured, already reaching for the manual seal controls. "He did not report this," she murmured. A nearby console chimed softly as a medical update came in. Representative Ward had arrived at the infirmary. He was being treated. Prognosis: full recovery expected with proper care. Her glow eased only slightly. "He considered this minor," she said to the empty chamber. Beyond the hull, stars burned in cold silence. Inside, the Varelian flagship continued its gentle orbit, unaware that something small and fragile had shifted the balance of an empire's attention. And in the medical wing, a human diplomat apologized to the physician for making a fuss as they set his ribs and finally made him rest. The medical wing of the Varelian flagship was quiet in a way that felt different from the rest of the ship. The walls glowed a softer shade, and the air carried a faint sweet scent meant to calm patients of many species. Transparent medical fields hummed gently around diagnostic pods, and small drones drifted back and forth carrying instruments. Elias Ward lay on a raised treatment platform, staring at the ceiling. He looked uncomfortable, though not because of pain. The pain had finally dulled to something distant and manageable, now that proper treatment had started. What bothered him more was being still. A Varelian medical specialist adjusted a band of light around his torso. The device projected a soft field that encouraged bone repair and tissue recovery. On a nearby display, a 3D image of his ribcage rotated slowly, thin lines marking the fractures. "You should have presented yourself earlier," the medic said, their voice a gentle, layered tone. Elias gave a weak smile. "I was hoping it would fix itself. That is not how bones function." Boo! Boo!
"Yeah," he admitted. "Worth a try, though." The medic's glow shifted in a pattern that suggested caping.
"You continued full cognitive labor while carrying this damage? Why?" "Deadlines," Elias said. "Diplomacy doesn't pause just because someone's sore. You were not sore. You were structurally compromised." "That sounds worse than it felt," he said. The medic turned slightly, adjusting the healing field.
"Your species has a concerning relationship with pain.
Elias huffed a quiet laugh.
You should see our sports."
Before the medic could respond, the entrance to the medical chamber opened. Light from the corridor spilled in, then shifted as a tall form entered. Every Varelian in the room straightened immediately. Queen Seralith moved toward the treatment platform, her presence filling the space with quiet authority. Her bioluminescent patterns were calm on the surface, but beneath that calm ran sharper currents of color. Elias tried to sit up. The medical field gently pushed him back down. "Don't get up," he said quickly. "Protocol's different in here." Seralith stopped beside him. "You will remain still." "Yes, Your Majesty." She looked down at the medical display, taking in the highlighted injuries. "You minimized your condition. I didn't want to be dramatic. Accurate reporting is not drama. It is data." He considered that. "I'll try to be more data-like in the future." The medic stepped back, giving the Queen space. "Recovery is progressing well. With 2 rest cycles, he will regain full structural integrity." 2 cycles? Elias said. "I can be back at my station tomorrow." Both Varelians turned to look at him. "You will not," Seralith said. "I can work from here," he offered. "Just send me the files." "You will rest," she repeated. "That is an order." Elias closed his mouth. After a moment, he nodded. "Understood."
Seralith dismissed the medic with a slight gesture.
When they were alone, the room felt even quieter.
You entered a failing compartment during decompression, she said.
Yes. You did so knowing the risk to yourself? Yes, Your Majesty. You did not inform your superiors afterward. I informed the shuttle captain that the techs were safe.
That was not my question. Didn't seem important compared to everything else going on. To you, she said. He gave a small shrug, then winced.
Sorry, still getting used to not moving.
Seralith watched him carefully. The shuttle malfunction was not accidental. Elias looked up. It wasn't?
No. Structural analysis indicates deliberate weakening of the pressure seal. He went very still.
So someone planned it. Yes, for the talks, that is the most probable motive. Elias let out a slow breath. I figured tensions were high, but sabotage.
You placed yourself between that sabotage and two of my people, Seralith said. I was just closer, he replied. You broke your own body in the process?
They're fine, he said. That's what matters.
Her internal light shifted, deeper tones moving through it.
You assign little value to your own well-being. That's not true, he said gently. I just prioritize.
Explain. He thought for a moment, searching for words that would make sense outside a human context.
Back home, a lot of us grow up learning to handle discomfort. You work while tired. You help, even when it's inconvenient. You don't stop everything unless it's truly serious. You define fractured bones as inconvenient.
When you say it like that, it sounds bad. It is bad. He smiled faintly. Yeah.
But the talks are important. If this alliance works, fewer people get hurt in the long run.
Missing a few days of sleep or pushing through an injury feels small compared to that. Sorelian society teaches preservation first. We withdraw at the first sign of damage. We heal before we return. It is how we have survived.
Makes sense, Elias said.
Different history, I guess. You see self-sacrifice as normal.
Not exactly normal, he said. Just
sometimes necessary. She studied his face. The small lines of fatigue still there even with medical support.
Does someone command you to do this?
No, he said immediately. It's just what you do when other people need you.
Even strangers?
He thought of the two Varelian techs, their wide, reflective eyes behind the suit visors. Yeah, he said quietly, especially strangers. Something in Seralith's glow softened, then tightened again with focus. The investigation into the sabotage is underway.
Those responsible will be identified. Good, Elias said.
Just don't let it derail the negotiations.
That's probably what they want. You are concerned for the process even now. Occupational hazard, he said.
She almost made the Varelian equivalent of a sigh. Rest.
That is your only duty. I'll try, he said.
She turned to leave, then paused. Representative Ward.
Yes, Your Majesty? Your suffering was not small. He blinked, surprised by the intensity in her tone.
Okay, you are not permitted to decide its value alone. For once, he had no ready answer. He just nodded. After she left, the room felt warmer somehow. Elias lay back, staring at the ceiling again, her words echoing in his mind. Across the ship, Queen Seralith entered a private strategy chamber. The doors sealed behind her, and the lighting shifted to a secure spectrum. A holographic display sprang to life, showing data from the shuttle incident. Advisors appeared as projections around the table, military coordinators, intelligence analysts.
The pressure seal failure was engineered, Seralith said without preamble. I want origin tracing on every component in that assembly. An analyst bowed their head. Already in progress, Your Majesty. Preliminary results suggest tampering during maintenance at the surface station, which is operated jointly with coalition contractors, another added.
Correct, Seralith said. I want financial records, personnel logs, and communication intercepts from that facility. A military advisor's glow pulsed darker.
Is this an act of war? It is an act of interference, she replied.
And an attack on those under my protection.
She brought up the still image of Elias in the damaged shuttle corridor. The advisors shifted, studying the human form. He entered the compromised compartment to save 2 of ours, she said. He continued working for 4 cycles with untreated injuries to prevent disruption to these negotiations. The room was quiet. A single human aid, one advisor said slowly. A single guest, Seralith corrected, under my care. Her light brightened, sharp and focused. We will not respond with open aggression. That is what they expect. Instead, we will respond with exposure. She began issuing orders, her voice calm but unyielding. Trade audits, security reviews, quiet pressure on key supply lines connected to suspect factions, information, not weapons. If they wished to create instability, she said, they will now experience it in return, precisely measured. Far away in the medical wing, Elias finally drifted into sleep, the healing field glowing softly around him. He dreamed of Earth, of wind through trees and the sound of rain on a roof. He did not dream of broken metal or rushing air. When he woke, hours later, a small tray of nutrient broth waited beside him. A note glowed on the screen near his bed. Rest! That was all it said, translated into human standard. He smiled to himself and, for once, didn't argue. News did not travel through the galaxy in a straight line. It moved in waves, through trade routes, diplomatic channels, private messages, and rumor. By the time Elias Ward was allowed to sit up without the medical field correcting his posture, quiet changes had already begun beyond the walls of the Varelian flagship. He did not know that yet. He was focused on the tray in front of him, which held a carefully balanced meal designed for human biology. He poked at it with mild suspicion. A Varelian medic watched from a respectful distance. Your nutritional intake must increase to support tissue regeneration.
I'm eating, Elias said, lifting a spoon. See? Very cooperative. You attempted to access diplomatic files 30 minutes ago. He gave a sheepish look.
Muscle memory. You are still on medical restriction. Technically, I was just checking messages. From the negotiation channel. Details, he muttered, then took another bite. The door slid open, and a junior Varelian aide stepped in. Their glow flickered with nervous energy. Representative Ward, they said, I wish to express gratitude. Elias blinked.
For what? The aide shifted, colors rippling across their skin. During the shuttle incident,
you moved Technician Rel and Technician Soar into safety. They have completed regeneration and returned to duty. Oh, Elias said, surprised. Good.
I'm glad they're okay. They asked me to tell you that they did not understand what was happening at the time. They thought they would cease.
Elias swallowed. I'm really glad that didn't happen. The aide bowed slightly. We are also instructed to ensure you do not leave this ward early. He groaned softly.
Everyone's very focused on that part. After the aide left, Elias leaned back, staring at the ceiling again.
He felt better, still sore but stronger. Rest was working, even if he hated admitting it. He reached for his tablet again. This time, the system allowed limited access. A message from Senior Aide Talvar filled the screen. Negotiations continue. Queen Seralith personally addressed the coalition delegation this cycle. Progress is accelerated. Rest well. Your input is missed. Elias frowned. Accelerated how? He sent back a short reply. Glad to hear it. Let me know if they try to sneak in new language on the corridor clause. Across the ship in the Grand Diplomatic Chamber, Queen Seralith stood before a gathering of representatives from multiple systems. The chamber was larger than the strategy room, built for formal addresses. Floating translation nodes hovered like small stars above the audience. Her glow was bright, steady, and impossible to ignore. "Recent events have revealed an attempt to destabilize these negotiations," she said, her voice carrying through layered frequencies so every species could understand. A systems failure aboard a Varelian shuttle was not accidental. Murmurs spread through the chamber. "Our investigation has identified deliberate tampering conducted through a chain of subcontractors tied to parties present in this very alliance." Several coalition delegates shifted uneasily. Seralith continued, her tone still calm. "This act did not only endanger Varelian personnel, it endangered a Terran diplomatic representative operating under my protection." Now the room was completely still. "The human survived," she said, "because he chose to place himself between the danger and others." She let that settle. In response, the Varelian Empire will be conducting a full review of all trade, security, and transit agreements with any faction connected to this interference. A projection appeared above her, networks of trade lines lighting up in complex patterns. "These reviews will be thorough, they will be precise, and they will continue until we are satisfied that such actions cannot happen again." "It was not a declaration of war." It was, in many ways, worse. Entire economies depended on Varelian transport corridors and technology exchanges. A coalition representative spoke up, their voice tight. "Your Majesty, surely this is an overreaction to an isolated incident." Seralith's glow sharpened slightly. "An attack on one under my protection is not isolated. It is instructive." Silence answered her. "In contrast," she added, "the Terran delegation has continued negotiations in good faith, even while their own representative recovered from injuries sustained during this sabotage." More eyes turned toward the human delegation table, where several Terran officials sat straighter, surprised by the public acknowledgement. "We will proceed with the alliance talks," Seralith concluded. "But understand this. Stability built through harm will not stand. Stability built through trust will." The address ended. Delegates immediately began sending urgent messages through their private channels. By the time Elias received the official summary, he had just finished a supervised walk down the medical corridor. He read the transcript twice. "She didn't have to mention me," he said quietly. The medic beside him tilted their head. "You are relevant to the situation. I'm just support staff. You are a being who was harmed due to political aggression. That is not just."
Elias rubbed the back of his neck. "This is going to make things weird, isn't it? Defying weird. People staring, acting like I'm made of glass."
"Or like I'm some kind of hero. You did act in a manner our culture considers highly unusual and brave," the medic said.
"Yeah, well," he muttered. "On Earth, it just gets you a story people bring up at dinner to embarrass you." Meanwhile, in a distant system, a coalition-aligned corporate director stared at a screen filled with red alerts. Varelian trade inspections had halted 3 of their major shipments. Financial audits were freezing accounts. Long-buried data irregularities were being pulled into the light. "All this," the director snapped, "over one human?" An aide swallowed. "The Varelians view it as an attack on their authority. It was supposed to be untraceable. It almost was," the aide said quietly.
"But the human survived." He filed a routine maintenance note about a loose panel near the seal. That note helped investigators narrow the failure point. The director slumped back. A small, practical act. A human noticing a detail and writing it down, even while injured. That had unraveled everything. Back on the flagship, Elias finally received clearance to leave the medical ward. Under conditions. No lifting, the medic said. No extended standing. No high-stress activity. "I work in diplomacy," Elias said. "Stress is the job. Then do it seated." He made his way slowly through the glowing corridors. Crew members he passed paused to greet him, more than usual. Some dipped their heads, others let their glow brighten briefly in what he was starting to recognize as respect. He felt his ears warm. "This is definitely weird," he murmured to himself. When he reached the main diplomatic offices, Senior Aide Telvar hurried over. "You are upright," Telvar said. "That's generally how I move, yes. You should still be horizontal." "Don't." "How bad is the claws draft?" Telvar handed him a slate. They conceded on joint patrol structure. After the Queen's address, resistance dropped sharply. Elias scanned the text, professional focus sliding back into place.
They're worried about inspections now.
"They want goodwill. Your species has gained influence," Telvar said.
Elias snorted softly. "I took a hit in a hallway."
"That's not strategy, in Varelian understanding," Telvar said. "Enduring harm without demand for recognition is a form of strength." Elias paused. Across the chamber, Queen Seralith watched the human from a distance. He was thinner than most species there, movements still careful, attention fully on the document in his hands, so physically limited, she thought. And yet his actions had shifted negotiations across multiple systems, not through threats, not through force, through quiet endurance and a refusal to let others suffer alone. Her glow softened, then steadied. The galaxy was learning something new about humans, and so was she.